activity. And those who are doing the mining responsibly, we're also telling them to, ensure they sell their produce to the PMMC, that was the legally mandated institution to buy gold that was, mined in the country. Among others was the community mining scheme, which in the wisdom of the previous administration was basically about, it is the only alternative for an illegal miner to serve as a disincentive from him or her from going back to undertake an illegality, is to find a viable area for him or her to do mining, because it became so clear that asking an illegal miner who earns 2,000 cedis a day to go and take coconut seedlings to plant and wait for 3 years was not going to be a better alternative. There were other policies as to this domestic gold program activities, which we were appraising from time to time, ensuring that the BOG has the necessary quantum of gold to support the project, and also other activities regarding geological investigation, reducing the licensing period for small-scale people, and many activities, all towards regularizing the mining sector of our country. Yeah.
I see. So, briefly, what was the success? What was the challenges that you had? What is Gold Board doing differently? Was there anything wrong with PMMC at the time you guys left office that they needed to be rebranded, or is structure overhauled for Gold Board to come in?
Okay, thank you for restarting the discussion. PMMC, as the name implies, Precious and Minerals Marketing Corporation. It was a corporation when it was established through the Diamond Marketing Company from 1963. As you gave the right history, and somewhere in 2018 it was changed into a company. So PMMC was operating as a company, no more a corporation with any tendencies to behave as if you can run at a loss or what. You need to work and pay yourself and clear so many activities. Proud 2017 or 2018, proud to 20 lot of debt. And the previous CEO came out some time ago, I think 2 days ago, to give the statistics out. It was saddled with a lot of debt, at a point that the house or the office space that PMMC is occupying has to be taken away from them to take their building to defray, to sell and pay off debt. I.e., where from this debt? This debt arose from PMMC in 2015, 2016, taking monies like loans to trade in gold, but they made some losses. So before PMMC was, before Gold Board came, let's come to the responsibility. What was PMMC doing? What was Gold Trade itself in Ghana? Before the NDC took office in 2025, gold, yes, small-scale gold buying activities was under the purview of the PMMC. You can never export any gold out of the country without going through PMMC. And we are talking about legal export, not about smuggling activities. You can never export any gold out of this country without going through the PMMC. Under the PMMC, we had Ghanaians that were gold dealers, Ghanaians that were exporters, that buy gold through PMMC, pay assay fees, pay service fees, and there was even at some point in 2022 thereabout a withholding tax of about 3%, which was reduced later 1.5%. Exported, and they make profit out of it. So PMMC as a body was just like a regulator. PMMC was not controlling the market in terms of setting of prices, because gold as a commodity, in the thinking of the establishment of PMMC, buyers should meet sellers and market should take its own course and things run smoothly. Now, in 2022, just as you rightfully said, our economy was, getting a bit disturbed, and the idea of domestic gold buying program came up. Now, there is a clear distinction between gold trading activities, which was liberalized, which was private, but regulated under PMMC. Then the domestic gold buying program came. The Bank of Ghana drew a comprehensive responsible sourcing framework. The Bank of Ghana drew a comprehensive responsible sourcing framework. When we talk about responsible sourcing framework in gold trading activities, what it tells or what it means is that the way and manner in which you have your gold is through responsible practices.
Right.
The chain of command is through vetted procedures. So the plan was to buy gold, but because PMMC was the national assayer, as was declared in 2018 by the Parliament of Ghana.
So if you say
the Bank of
if you say the assayer, meaning that's a conveying belt, it's only PMMC that could buy gold in the country, right?
So if I say as assayer, what it means is that no gold leaves the country without PMMC verifying it. Assay is to, check the quality, the quantity, blah, 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 those activities, okay, right? So no gold goes out of the country without PMMC looking into it. So there could be private refineries, but you can't take the gold out this country without PMMC verifying it. The thinking of that was that there were speculation that because the law was a bit flexible, some companies were leaking or looting some gold behind some scenes that the state were losing revenues from. So every gold, large-scale mining company, everybody, if you want to take gold out of Ghana, fine, pass it through PMMC. You pay the applicable fees, PMMC records the data and share the data with applicable state institution, i.e. GRA and co. So when Bank of Ghana decided to buy to do the domestic gold buying program, in a letter, I'll get a date for you. In a letter dated somewhere January 1st, 2023, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abu Jinapor, directed all small-scale mining companies, directed all community mining schemes, because this was the foundation on which the domestic gold buying program was established, because the large-scale gold mining companies, the then Vice President had already met them and pleaded with them that they should all support government policy. And that was even in line with Section 7 of Act 703, which gives Ghana the opportunity that the state has the power to, seek every gold that every mining company mines in this country, provided the country is ready to pay the applicable fees for the money. So we have the first right of refusal of every gold that has been mined in this country. But because these companies have obligations with their refineries outside their country, the government then didn't want to break their business chain. So there was some agreement where the chamber will sell about 20% of gold to also come and add up to the small scale gold for the domestic gold buying program activity. So that's how come PMMC got involved, underline word, involved in domestic gold buying program. The Bank of Ghana themselves cannot go to the gold ghettos and go to buy the gold. Fast forward, the gold that was bought under the domestic gold buying program was serving some purposes, i.e., 1, gold for oil.
Okay.
2, gold for reserves. Before the domestic gold buying program came into being, Ghana, from independence to 2022, we had just 8.74 tons of gold in our reserve. The thinking and the framers of the domestic gold buying program as of then, as captured in the policy document, indicated that they foresaw that gold price will go up and go up in some years to come. So the best thing to do now is that let's show up our reserves with this gold, as we are trying to also extend some for oil. the fact remains that fuel prices today are lower than when the gold for oil was there. But the data also indicate that the conditions that were prevailing then, but for the gold for oil policy then, we would have bought that oil at a higher price. Like I indicated, these are political issues. Let's leave it for the politicians to handle. And one professor, is it Professor Bokwin, also indicated that if Gold Board want to justify their losses with economic gains, then a previous government will also have the right to also justify losses with a gold for oil. That was Bright Simmons with a gold for oil, because it also served a policy benefit. Now, fast forward, now we are in 2025. We have Gold Board. I'm sure you were in this country. You heard some narratives that Gold Board is a novelty. Some of us wrote a lot of things about it.
I've just established the fact that it's not a novelty.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think it took this loss for the propounders of those who carried it as a novelty to, come down to see that no, this is something else. I term Gold Board as a formula which is equal to PMMC plus domestic gold buying program. If you ask me to define Gold Board for you, Gold Board is equal to PMMC plus domestic gold buying program, to mean that today's Gold Board structure is equal to the existing PMMC structure that we had, right, and the domestic gold buying program.
Break this down for me. Sami Kenti, in the video that I played, claimed that their work is not to make profit or losses or whatsoever, but he's claiming that there were some surpluses. He mentioned in cities, about 600 million cities.
Okay.
So, in the case
you see,
of
this is where
hold on. In the case of PMMC and then that of Gold Board, is it the fact that Gold Board, which has inherited the assets of PMMC, is not mandated per structure to make profits or losses? Was that an accurate assertion that he made?
It is not accurate. It is not accurate. And I don't know whether I should jump straight to answer that question or I should build my points.
So
and when I get there,
clarify that before you move forward. That's just a clarity that I want.
Fantastic, yeah. Because it's part of my presentation. So
PMMC was to make profit, right? Gold Board
yes,
comes
please.
and says, no, we are not there. We're just a policy strategic entity. So we are not. I don't get that bit, and most Ghanaians too are not also quite sure about that, and that's why I need that clarity from you.
Fantastic. So that is my next point. Now, we've established that Gold Board is equal to the previous PMMC, and we've established the work the previous PMMC was doing. And I'm happy when Sami Kenti now said that Gold Board is an upgrade of PMMC. That is fine. Now let's go to Section 2 of the Ghana Gold Board Act. And it says that the Gold Board is to oversee, monitor, and undertake the buying, selling, assaying, refining, exporting, or related activity in the respect of gold. So this was the role PMMC was playing. B, generate foreign exchange for the country. During the PMMC's time, the private gold dealers that export their gold out, they repatriate dollars back into the country, including the multinational mining companies. So forex issue have been part of our gold trade for a long time, but now it has been added as a responsibility to Gold Board. 3, support the accumulation of gold reserves by the Bank of Ghana. Now, this reserve accumulation in our government was a policy because it was a novelty. But under Gold Board, they have added it as part of their responsibility. This is where I tend to indicate that Gold Board was not established to make losses. The term oversee, monitor, undertake, buy and sell. Buy and sell. The moment you hear buy and sell as your responsibility, using state funds I don't want to debate this more. When you look at Section 3.2 of the Gold Board Act, and this is where things get more interesting.
Yeah.
Despite a provision in any other enactment to the contrary, the Gold Board has the sole authority to create, assay, weigh, and value gold produced in, brought into, or exported from the country. B, purchase and sell gold produced by miners, other large-scale miners, and export gold, blah, blah, blah. So Gold Board function, per what I have read to you respectfully, it's not only about supporting BOG to buy gold into their reserves. Gold Board is existing as an entity to ensure that the monopolistic powers that have been given to you, nobody, you are the only person, you set prices in some days, or on some days, they decide to whether to buy gold or not. If you dare buy gold or sell gold without gold board approval, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
So any assertion to indicate that the Gold Board was not set up for profit, it's a lie. And you know, if you have monitored the social media space yesterday, His Excellency the President went to Ghana Publishing Company.
Yeah.
Then he made a statement. To me, it's a subtle statement to the Gold Board. The President said that you are an example of state institutions not giving, not existing for losses. I am doing my personal, because if Ghana Publishing, they just deal in Gazette,
Yeah.
and could make 15 million Ghana cedis in 10 months, which we are all proud of. So the President was communicating something that gold, and let's express this. Under the PMMC, we had private Ghanaians like you and I, or any other people, who were gold exporters, big guys. They buy the gold, sell, gold come, and they have the money. Now, by the existence of Gold Board have taken over all those responsibilities in the interest to make profit for this country. But let's see, there is a seeming confusion. You quoted some amount of money that the Gold Board is saying that is their revenue.
Yeah, that's surplus. So that's where I'm trying to understand.
I am coming there.
Because if you say you don't exist to make losses and whatever, where the surplus coming from?
Yeah.
If you didn't make, it's somehow all over for me. I'm trying to process it, but I'm not understanding it. And I know some people are in the same quagmire.
I know, yes, a lot of people. I want to deal with facts only. The issue is that Gold Board itself now is a regulator. It has regulating powers. Gold Board is like DVLA. He has the power to regulate all licensing of humans and cars, so far as driving is concerned.
Yeah.
So the money Gold Board is declaring as revenue, it's money the Gold Board has made from license fees. So you want to be a gold buyer, tier 1, tier 2, self-aggregator or aggregator. There are 4 different tiers of gold buying licenses. So there are various payments. So that is one stream of the revenue they have declared. Now, they also make money from assaying fees and service fees. So let me explain the assaying fees and the service fee here. Let's say someone wants to send gold to India to his partners, okay? So you bring the gold to Gold Board, we are going to assay it, blah, 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 and charge a fee, a percentage of the value of the gold. And that is the money that have been calculated as revenue. When you check the PMMC's financial report in the year 2024, they made a revenue of 253 million Ghana cedis in 2024. Gold Board is declaring a revenue huge about ×3 of this or so. And it is reasonable. One, the production that they, in 2024, the production that was exported through PMMC was 63 tons. In 2025, we have done 101 tons. We will come to ask whether it is going to say gold or not, but volume has increased. Apart from that, the price of the commodity gold, for the first time in 47 years from 1979, the year 2025 was a special year for gold. Gold had an all-time highest 53 times in the year 2025. So when these two parameters come to meet, definitely your regulatory revenues are going to what? Are going to go up. So that revenue, let's put it aside. If you look at the narratives in the media, everybody who is critiquing this issue is not talking about that revenue, because Ghanaians like yourself are well informed that those monies are regulatory fees. But you have power as a monopoly. The gold, commodity gold that you have monopolized, use state funds to buy, send to off-takers, and you say you have run at a loss. In a year, gold price had been at its time highest in 47 years. No, we don't understand. So explain. What did we hear when the news was broken by the IMF? And you see, let's be very clear here. There is no way the Gold Board can recuse itself or herself from these losses. And let me explain. The IMF report indicated gold trading losses as a result of Gold Board's activities. Bank of Ghana can give you the money. And now we have gotten to know that Bank of Ghana gave money to Gold Board in cedis. Go and buy gold for us. Gold Board goes to the market, buy the gold, bring the gold back to Bank of Ghana. As to how many or what percentage of the gold that Gold Board brought has been kept in our reserves, and what percentage have been sold out of the country, we are yet to know. But officially, what we know is that in the year 2025, the government have just added about 7 tons of gold to the reserves they came to meet. So we are now hovering around 37. So if we have bought gold for you, 100, let's say 100 tons, you have kept 7 in our vote in central bank. 93 tons, you have sold it to foreigners, or let's say our off-takers.
Yeah.
And you are bringing dollars back into the country. All this activity I've explained constitutes the trading chain. BOG giving money to Gold Board going to buy gold, bringing the gold back to BOG. There are so many narratives in the media, but this is the simplest way I can explain it to you. And this is a trading chain. What did we hear initially when this loss issue came up? One, the Chief Executive Officer of Gold Board, Honorable Sammy Gyamfi, denied it, that it is not true. Some few minutes, government communicators issued a statement that, oh, Gold Board had even brought a revenue of $10 billion. Ghana doesn't look like a country where we have $10 billion as we speak now. So and that one too was a blatant lie.
Yeah, declaring losses. The IMF is reporting losses of $714 million. And you are saying 10 billion. That's over 200% of or more.
Exactly. So we were
about. So where is that 10 billion coming from? I'm a bit at loss because I don't know what that's.
Okay, so let me explain again. Let me go back again to explain how the loss came about. So now we have heard that Bank of Ghana advanced 100 billion Ghana cedis to the Gold Board. 100 billion Ghana cedis to the Gold Board.
So
for gold.
Gomechi, coming here. The main challenge is that they are mixing cedis with dollars.
Exactly.
The disparity that I've seen in their reports. I mean, talking about the losses in dollars.
Exactly.
Again, the stock loss is talking about in cedis, 600 million cedis. So that is the currency interplay that is creating the confusion.
So you see, even the loss, when you even convert the loss into cedis and you even subtract what you said they have made, we are in negatives in cedis. That is where the confusion is. So the whole issue is that the money which we have used to buy the gold, to export as a country to whoever is our offtake, because the thinking of the government is that let's do a swap. Let's use our city to buy gold, sell it to our off-takers, and bring dollars into the country. That's the forex. Please, I hope you are getting the point.
I'm following, yeah.
Yes. So now the difference between the money the central bank injected into the country, into the gold trade, and the correspondent forex that came in from January to September, the 9 months the IMF report is talking about, we are falling short by $214 million. This is the basic explanation. And the $10 billion that came is not a revenue, which we've been able to successfully debunk that, because it's my money that I've used to buy the gold, and I've sold it, and I've been given dollars. Instead of having a corresponding dollar that may even match, at least, even if I'm to even break even, I was not able to get a corresponding dollars to match my cedis. So we run at a loss of $240 million. Now, there is an attempt to make the whole thing appear that all the gold that they bought was for domestic gold buying program or was for gold for reserve, which is a lie.
All right.
Because if you kept all those gold at Bank of Ghana, then there is no way $10 billion will fly from abroad into the country. So technically, the 7 tons have been kept at the Bank of Ghana, and the 93 tons have been what? Have been exported to off-takers with our own money, our own gold. But the corresponding money that came in dollars, matching it with the money the sovereign, Ghana, has invested or has placed in buying those gold along that chain, we've lost $240 million. And what have we heard? It is not true. We have brought $10 billion revenue, which have been shut down. We have brought in forex. No losses have been made. Then it graduated to losses have been made, but ours is smaller than some other people's losses. This has been a trajectory of the issue. Then BOG comes and say that it is speculative. Gold Board says they are not associated to the loss. We should blame Bank of Ghana. And now, where we sit and stand now, the loss have been established. The loss have been established. And with my little wisdom, I am still standing on my point that I'm not going to say it is Gold Board or it is Bank of Ghana. I will say it is Bank of Ghana and the Gold Board. They are all state institutions. The trade activities went on between the two of them. As a matter of fact, it is Gold Board that has the responsibility to deal with even off-takers.
Right.
It is Gold Board's responsibility to deal with off-takers. When you look at Section 18 of the Gold Board Act,
right,
they say funds of the Gold Board include funds obtained by the Gold Board from financial markets, investors, and off-takers in the performance of functions under this act. But Sami Gyamfi told us that he doesn't even know the off-takers. So this is even a breach of law, that you came, monopolized our gold, bought our gold with an act, and the final destination of the gold, you are telling us that you are not aware, so we should go and ask the Bank of Ghana. There are a lot of issues here. So for me, the laws have been established. Nobody can run away from it. What I will seek is that is a way forward. what is going to be the way forward. And the dangerous thing is that the chief executive officer of Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, it's not clear in his mind. And that is the only dangerous aspect, me personally. But when people understand their mandate, accountability becomes easier. The Gold Board was not set up to run at a loss. Never. Never. And the president have not said so. And everybody who hears this is saying that no, nobody deals in gold and run at a loss at this point in time. So I am proposing, if there is time for me to move straight to my recommendation activity.
Yes, so we can move to your recommendation. I know you also have some questions that you want to pose to the Gold Board CEO so far as this issue is concerned. So you have been able to establish the fact that it is not a fact that they have not made losses. It is not also a fact that Gold Board does not exist, make losses or profit. That's the understanding I'm getting here. And that what the IMF has captured is the actuality on the ground. Both the Gold Board and the Central Bank of Ghana, which is BOE, have together caused some level of losses to the country through this project. Is that what you're saying? Policy.
Yes, please. It's, I mean, and you see, IMF has the reports. So even look at the wording of the IMF, that $240 million trading loss as a result of Gold Board trading activities. And there is no way you can account for these losses without inviting the Gold Board to the table, because that is the source. That is the source. So they are part. And in fact, everything gold trading in this country as it stands now is in the hands of Gold Board. So there are some activities which the Bank of Ghana and the Gold Board has undertaken, which for that one, I'm not a lawyer, but we provide the engineering facts and the common sense facts for the lawyers to undertake, because it appeared that in the year 2025, it was even a breach of the Gold Board Act in so many instances.
Right.
So in the chief executive officer's first statement against this laws, item number 10, when you read that item, you could see this is a young man whose hands are in the air. Sammy Gyamfi is saying that for the year 2025, it was BOG that was in charge of everything. And in 2026, Gold Board, I'm going to take full charge. If you read that statement, you could see a CEO that was frustrated. I don't know whether his hands were tied, because everything about gold trade now, the act that was passed in the midnight when people were asleep, is so powerful that everything Gold Board is in the hands of the chief executive officer. And there's one thing that is also part of my presentation: the issue about the sole aggregator, the Bower Rock. I'm sure you have heard about that.
Yeah, I've read about that. I saw him splashing some documents suggesting that it was not established overnight as being peddled out there.
Fine. For me, from my technical point of view, I don't care when that company was established, because there are companies that can be established today, tomorrow they have contracts. That one I leave it to the lawyers to handle. So personally, I'm more worried about when it was incorporated. My point is that 31 applicants, 31 Ghanaians came to your website, which you have advertised, that these are the requirements or these are the eligibility requirements if you want to be the country's aggregator of gold.
Yeah. So are you, per your investigations and the documents that you have, best practice, did this company, Bower Rock Company, meet the requirements?
Personally, as to who meet the requirements, for now, on their website, people read this act, read the eligibility requirement, and made an application that we want to be sole aggregators. Out of the 31 applications, according to the CEO statement on Newsfile, it was only Bower Rock that met the requirement. So the first question is it the case that the other 30 people, when they were doing application, they didn't read the applications well, or I mean, the requirements well, or what? That is one. Two, were there other requirements that what was on the website, maybe it goes beyond, because he made mention of some insurance guarantees of some 2 billion Ghana cedis or so. Was it made clear to these other 30 people? Was it the case that these other 30 people, knowing that this was the new requirement, opted to either form a consortium to also have an opportunity? And as a matter of fact, Section 31 of the Ghana Gold Bourse Act, their own act, Section 31(2) states that if anybody is, you can only refuse somebody a license when it is against the public interest, the public safety, or public security, or when the applicant fails to comply with any directive of the Gold Board. And the subsection 3 indicates that the Gold Board shall communicate the reason for the refusal of an application to the applicant. The framers of this act to Ghana's parliament, this item is a transparency issue item, writing to the applicant, because the framers know that maybe one time you have maybe a government or a president or people who try to maybe capture a natural resource or capture something to maybe give opportunity to just some selected few. So in the case whereby people make applications and you know you're not going to grant them the opportunity, write to them stating their reasons. So we want to see, as Ghanaians, we want to see the 30 applications and the various grounds that they were denied. We can't bundle all of them and say that they don't have this. Technically, it is not a best practice. Number two, in that same Newsfile discussion by Honorable Sammy Gyamfi, he gave himself out. After giving this explanation, then he came back to state that for the year 2025, the Board of Gold Board decided to just give opportunity to Bower Rock only. So maybe as we enter 2026, some may come to add. This statement should tell you that, oh, so it could mean that the other 30 people, it may not even be the case that they have not met the requirement, but the system was skewed to favor somebody in 2025. Then in 2026, you can bring other people on board. So the issue about the sole aggregator issue could be a contributing factor to even some of these losses, because the government is not being competitive with its gold sources. Right. So you have just one aggregator who can come and tell you that today, even the gold, I even got it at this price. And you may take it or leave it. But if there are some varieties, maybe some 2 or 3 aggregators, I'm just assuming, and that's best practice, you can even appraise your aggregators based on their performances and know and get more market insights in the trade than you being restricting yourself to just one aggregator, which calls for so many issues. So, my brother, I would say that one, in 2026, with all due respect, we will call on government that there should be a parliamentary probe, which the minority has called. This probe should not be about witch hunting. No, I'm personally not, not in support of any witch hunting activity. Sammy Gyamfi, Honorable, is a young man who is on a journey to contribute his quota for our country. Yeah. Honorable Sammy Gyamfi is a known anti-corruption crusader, at least in the last, when they were in opposition. And I know that dissenting voices against his work may not be seen as, his enemies. So there should be a parliamentary probe. The importance of the parliamentary probe is to settle matters, is for God to learn where there were mistakes and also sound clearly to the CEO of Gold Board that he was not set up for losses. In fact, it will be a good start for him, and whatever losses that may have happened, if justified, we can find ways to what? To remedy it. That is my opinion. Number two, the aggregator. Gold Board should go beyond working with just one aggregator. They can choose to pick whoever they want to pick. But we Ghanaians want to see a little competition in our gold trade, regardless even Gold Board enjoying that monopoly. We want to see efficiency, because one aggregator, what he will come and tell you is what you take. You can't compare it anywhere. But if you have two aggregators, maybe three, this aggregator buy gold from Central and Western region. This one buy gold from here and here. You could even use their data to even appraise and support the ministry responsible for lands and natural resources on how to even fight illegal mining. Two, there are so many experts like Professor Bokpin, Dr. Gideon Boakun. I am not an economist, that have made so many pronouncements that, see, the whole thing appears like it was designed for a loss. So I'll plead that the media, yourself, let's call for a stakeholder forum. Let's look at the issues and make input. Then the biggest one is that I'm suggesting the establishment of an independent gold purchasing and pricing committee. And that is something I call IGPPC. I connoted it. Independent Gold Pricing and Purchasing Committee. What I've seen is that the Gold Board is having so much powers that if we don't manage their powers, the losses will be dire. They set prices, they buy the gold, they decide when to buy, they decide when to export, a lot of powers that are unchecked. So through the president or through parliament, any way we can do it, let's set up a committee of experts. Their job is to be that they are going to be setting reference prices for the Gold Board. So at least Gold Board is having some oversight body, like how we have commodity exchange and co. And every day or every week, that committee will brief, whether on their website or so, the total amount of gold we have bought, let's say, in this week, and the average price. And not for us to wait for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, before Gold Board will come and tell us that there is a loss. So when we have a committee that is checking those things week by week, if there are volatilities or there are some issues, that committee can be appraising, and it put the CEO of Gold Board on his toes. Fourthly, is that there should be a pricing strategy. There should be a pricing strategy, because the situation whereby Gold Board will say, today I'm giving you bonus.
Can you hear me? It's like yours has...
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. So the situation whereby Gold Board today, they say they are giving bonus. Tomorrow they are taking money from the minus money as discounts, plus minus. That attitude, that pricing regime, we need to go back to parliament so that we make Gold Board operate within a regime. Else, there may be so many opaque activities that may be going on. Let me land here for the meantime. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. If you are joining the platform, this isn't right. We're having a conversation around the Gold Board versus IMF, including the Bank of Ghana, on the reported $214 million that the IMF in its credit report has identified, warning that measures must be taken. And this was attributable to the activities of the artisanal gold project, which is spearheaded by the Gold Board. The Gold Board has denied those claims, claiming that they are not supposed to give or maybe make profits or losses and all that. So we are hoping that what the CEO is saying, Sami Gyamfi said on Newsfile, that they'll be publishing their audited accounts, so everyone will have the opportunity to see that. But Engineer Gomeshi has identified some of the loopholes. He has diagnosed the whole issue, and the bank claims that Gold Board is not supposed to provide, to produce profits and all that. We know that Gold Board is not a novelty. I'm just stressing on that point. That is not a novelty. It is the framework that has changed a bit. In the case of PMMC, they were trading with the private gold dealers and all that. But with Gold Board, they are now taking absolute control, which Engineer Gomeshi is saying that we need to check the powers of Gold Board. And you have read that people who were engaged in private purchase of gold were told to exit the system, whilst Gold Board take absolute control, so that they'll use that one to saw up the system and also curtail the smuggling of gold from the system, following reports that Ghana is losing a lot to gold smuggling and all that. So, Engineer Gomeshi, we have little time to go. In 3 minutes, just conclude on that and make your final comments on this issue, then move on.
Okay. So I just want to know whether there is another speaker.
No, that will be for a different discussion, not this one.
Discussion,
so
okay.
just make your final conclusion.
So thanks very much. What I will indicate finally is that Ghanaians should know that the $214 million loss stands. It's undisputed. Ghanaians should also know that the commodity gold belongs to everybody. Section, I think, Article 257.6 of the Constitution states clear that all minerals are in the hands of the president for us. So when there are issues about its usage, we should all be involved. No witch hunting here. Number 3, Gold Board is not a novelty. And if it is not a novelty, I'll plead with policymakers that they can easily go back to the people who were in charge yesterday and maybe share some few ideas, with them. I will also reiterate the core. It's something that's very important for me, that the Chief Executive Officer of the Gold Board, Honorable Sammy Gyamfi, should be told either by the president or by Parliament that by the constitution of this act, which every Ghanaian can easily have access to, Gold Board was not set up to only help Bank of Ghana to buy gold. They are in as a profit-making entity, and I have heard brilliant submissions from Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah and some other people that just as they have established the Gold Board jewelry, so you have established Gold Board jewelry where you use the state money to buy gold and sell gold to people and take the money. Then you come and tell us that you are not set up for profit. You are a religious activity either or an NGO. So if a trading unit can be established also within Gold Board, so that their focus will be that this gold we are buying, we are exporting, and make profit for Ghana. That is one. We are buying gold for Bank of Ghana reserve, and number 2. Then number 3, all this trading, and if we are exporting gold outside and we are buying gold for Bank of Ghana, as a regulator, we should take some fees from them. So Gold Board is going to make money as a regulator and also make money from its commercial activities as a gold trader. Right. If they are not ready to understand this, then I will suggest that Parliament may start considering to demonopolize Gold Board, to give the opportunity back to Ghanaians that were doing the gold trading under a strict supervision of Gold Board, so that there will be no smuggling, because there will be no sense to take the jobs of Ghanaians, monopolize it, and come back and tell us you are making a loss. This is my recommendation. And the independent gold pricing and purchasing committee is something that is so dear to me, to check the powers of the Gold Board, to check the powers of the Gold Board CEO. The powers are so much to the extent that if the powers are not controlled.
What is your fear?
Come again?
What is your fear? That if
my fear is that, you see, I now understand why there was a previous design where it was a minister responsible for mines that grant license for you to export gold outside the country. But with PMMC, you can only give license to buyers that do the buying just in Ghana. I've now understood it. So Sammy and Global have so much power to extend. My fear is that there will be so much opaque activities because the powers are heavy that until they tell you information, you struggle to even know. And perfect. That is deadly. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And that is deadly for a commodity like gold. So, for example, they buy gold with state money. If quarterly reports had been coming as the law stipulated,
yeah,
we would have known some of these losses far advanced before it may have happened. But even that quarterly report, some of us have to force him. So he had to release 2 quarterly reports at the same time. So the powers are so huge that if we don't immediately set up oversight bodies over Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi alone and Gold Board can cause massive financial loss to the state. And I mean it technically, this is not out of emotions, because last year he made assertions that they are going to take $1 billion from Dubai, a company called Goldstream DMCC, to come and set up model mines and co. With this result, if the Gold Board are not told, so you imagine somebody telling you today that he's not set up for profit, and the person is going to take a loan $1 billion. Who is going to pay that money? Is that money going to come into the Gold Board activities, run at a loss, become a financial loss to the state, and the CEO will come and tell us that, I mean, he was not set up for profit? It's not acceptable. And this agreement, you may misuse the money, but the agreement are back with gold. What it means is that you can go and take the money as a country and misuse it. But the agreement is that you are going to supply me gold from this time to this time. And that could put the state into a lot of shit. So no emotions. We all support our brother to do well, but he should know his mandate clearly. We expect profit from his regulatory activities, and we expect profit from the gold trading activities. Granted, if there will be some losses that the state can pardon, then it could be losses as a result of the DOD trying to shore up our reserves. That one, we can pardon some losses there. But we cannot take gold trade from private people.
And ask you a final question before we go.
Okay. All right.
Said, can I get a few minutes to interact with my brother?
No, I'll get back to you, Mr. Farad. I'll start with your conversation pretty shortly, but just give me a minute. So Adubiri Cleto says, we are glued to the show. We are watching live in Ghana, Upper East Region, Bolgatanga, from landlord, Bolga D Line. Believing in MPP is like hanging your, oh, come on. I wouldn't say that on my platform. Thank you very much. It's not your comment, but what follows it is what I made.
Yeah.
At the initial stage, they said that the appreciation of the cedi is artificial and not sustainable. The cedi appreciation is due to the fact that the government wasn't spending. The US-China trade, blah, 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 blah. Now that they have realized that the cedi appreciation has come to stay and Ghanaians are enjoying its fruits, the narrative has changed. The cedi appreciation started under their government. All right, thank you. Carl W., thank you very much for joining us, chap. Thanks you. Good luck says, Honorable Engineer Gomeshi all the way. Thank you very much. Sammy Gyamfi is watching with fake account. That's good luck. Okay, NDC4, go to school. He says, no, Adi, you are listening to sense. Keep it up, wisdom. This comes from Abdullah Abdul Razak. Jonathan Abul Contempt says, a very educative program to watch. Kudos, man, for such an informative program to watch. Now, this message, and I'm reading all these messages on Facebook, though. God bless this Gomeshi guy. Good luck. There's one message that came through from Dr. Brainer Kumperke. He's one of the, I think he was part of the Constitutional Review Committee, and he wants you to answer a question. Gomeshi, I'll come to you.
Okay.
Watching live from Borga. In fact, Kimbura, we are proud of you. Watching live from Borga Tungo, Balungo, proud of you. Angela, Agila, Justice. Abdullah Abdul Razak says, great education. Knowledge is key. Good education. Vincent Asogo, keep up the good works, brother. Engineer Wisdom Gomeshi. This comes from Eric Gation. Very educated. Portia Wumnaya Groma there. Great education there. We now see, we can see the truth from the lies now. Senior Wisdom Gomeshi, you are so solid. And okay there. Osei Tutu says, wisdom is just so intelligent. Solid guy. Raymond Detrex Adongo, when the past government was recording losses, were they calling for parliamentary probe? Kojo Opon Nkrumah was still an MP. Okay, that's his concern. So Dr. Rena is asking the question as to, I mean, kindly ask your guest, in the speaker's expect estimation, what is or attributable to disputed 214 million losses? Would you want to just respond to that? That's the question.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very good. Yeah, and I think we are making all these comments like I indicated. Honorable Sami Jemfi is as young as us, and we cannot, I mean, hope for him to fail. All these commentaries are supposed to make him strong. Now, these losses, I mean, the expert opinion is that one, it is not confirmed, but it appears that they are buying the gold on the market.
IMF has confirmed it. It's not. It's contained in the IMF report. We are
for the loss is confirmed. The loss is confirmed, but the reason of the losses is what I am indicating.
Okay.
Yes. One, I will indicate that the gold board may be buying the gold at higher price than they sell it off. And we may not know the reasons behind that. That is one key issue. As to retainer fees between Bank of Ghana and the off-takers, as it stands now, we don't know. They are mentioned of some 1.1%, but we don't know about it until the final report what comes out. So for right now, I will indicate that it's one, the cost of the product itself, the commodity good, maybe in some aspect of the purchases, they bought it higher than they sold it, and that could amount to losses. And also, I mean, issues are about logistics and activities. And the fact is that central banks sometimes showing up good in their reserves don't care to make some small loss today for gains tomorrow. That is why the domestic gold buying program, which the MPP started, the 22 tons that they were able to add in 18 months, because 2025 the gold price went up. Its currency sits around $3.5 billion in our gross international reserve, and it even outweighs all the losses it cost. But in this special case, the only reason why this is becoming more of an issue is that we should be able to separate what we kept in the reserve, we should account for it separately, and what we took outside the country to, we should account for it separately. Okay. If we have that honesty amongst ourselves as a policy, or I mean as a country, we will be able to account for where the losses, because right now I know the Bank of Ghana boss will be feeling bad when Gold Boss CEO says that he doesn't know anything about these losses, and vice versa. So I believe that these are just preliminary thoughts that could be the losses, but bearers of position should just accept responsibility. Let's open up stakeholder forum and see. And I'm happy the governor of the Bank of Ghana has taken the step that quickly he wants to call for a stakeholder engagement to see how best we can review the gold buying activities. But once again, somebody is running away from his responsibility. The Bank of Ghana is trying to live up to responsibility, but the gold board is trying to apportion blames, and that is a worry. And if we don't cure that, maybe today we may cure some losses today, or we may know the cost of these losses today, but tomorrow we may not know the cost of other losses until it hits us. So to Madam, I would say is maybe the purchasing cost from source to final destination may highly account for these losses. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Engineer Wisdom Gomeshi, for your side of what you know about this issue regarding the Gold Board, Bank of Ghana, and that of the IMF on the latest credit reports, suggesting that a whopping amount of $240 million was made. We don't know who made those losses. The Gold Board says no. We are not involved. We are not those who did. Because we have not been established to make profits or losses. So that does not apply to us. The Bank of Ghana is also saying a different story and all that. But I'm sure you might have been clear what we have had here this evening. And I really acknowledge the comments that are coming through and the time that you've made to be part of the show. So it's just 24 minutes after 8 here. We have another conversation coming up. And that conversation will be starting pretty shortly. My guest has already joined me. But what we are looking at today has to do with the diaspora. What the diaspora makes of the NDC's first year in office, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency. What the diaspora, if I say the diaspora, I'm talking about the NDC living in the UK and Ireland. I'm fortunate to have their national chairman or their chapter chairman in the person of Conrad Dumba joining us for us to have this conversation. Before we flip to that conversation, I want us to recap what John Mahama told us before Ghanaians gave him that mandate to govern us. After that tape, I'll come and introduce my guests and we'll have that discussion.
If you are hearing about the 24-hour economy initiative for the first time, or you are pretending that you do not know what it is about, please cock your ears now and listen to me explain it again. This is a policy that is not peculiar only to Ghana. A 24-hour economy will enable one job to be shared across 3 shifts and employ 3 persons, providing job opportunities for 3 workers instead of 1. And that is what my intelligent, eloquent younger sister, or should I say my daughter, explained as 1-3-3.
1-3-3. So Ghanaians were actually promised some jobs. And what were these jobs? The jobs were that, when we come into office, 1-3-3, you have the opportunity to work certain shifts. So as witnessed in advanced countries. But I don't know whether Ghanaians actually understood it better when we talk about the 24-hour economy, because that was one of the backbones of the NDC's campaign, that when we are coming to create jobs with a 24-hour system. So some people understood it to mean that businesses were going to run 24 hours. So someone who is selling a store or working in a store will have the store working 24 hours and all that. And did it really materialize among some of the, the promises that the NDC gave Ghanaians to warrant them that overwhelming victory that they had in the 2024 general elections? Like I said, I'm fortunate to be joined by the UK Ireland chapter, chairman of the NDC, Conrad Dumba. Conrad, am I getting your name right? Is it Dumba or Dumba?
Well.
Can you unmute for me? You are muted. Can you unmute for me?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Sorry. I think I'm having a challenge.
Okay, because I can hear you.
Is it from my end?
Yeah, probably.
You are muted. Can you unmute? All right, I'll try and rectify that out. But I think
can you hear me now?
A bit of a challenge here. Getting to you.
Hello.
Okay, but I'll work on that. So Conrad is the chairman for the NDC in the UK here chapter. We'll have him join us. But let me just I'll get him back here on the platform pretty shortly.
Tired of the endless cycle of complaints? The headlines that tell you what's wrong but never how to fix it?
It doesn't matter what you call it.
If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, well, then it must be a duck.
All right, welcome back. I think I've been able to figure it out, and I have Korat back on the line with that. So, Korat.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. My sincere apologies.
Fantastic.
There. Yeah, I was asking whether I had your name right. Is it Dumba or Damba?
Oh, well, among my people, the Wala, we call it Dumba. But
Yeah.
I know my in-laws, the Frafres, they murder my name.
We are your masters. Don't say your I'm your master. You are talking to your master. You're a slave. You know that. Once you're talking to your boss, you have to humble yourself. You know that.
Well, I will live with Olarotimi. Olarotimi says because the owner is late in calling the thief. The thief calls the owner thief. I should have started by welcoming you by saying I'm giving the privilege to my slave to talk to me, but I didn't do it. So now you have taken the bragging rights.
No. I'm just reminding you that you're boss. So address me.
Okay, yeah.
We are not equals. So
very
many
good
of
evening.
you, many of you who may not know that, but I'm from the Upper East region, Bongo to be specific, and then as Green speaking communities, we have that rapport. What you call the Frafres. The Frafres is not a tribe though, but we have that rapport with the people of Upper West, the Dagabes and all that. We see them as there's a history behind that. So that is what keeps us moving on and all that. So thank you for joining us on the platform. I'm grateful that despite your busy schedule, you've made time to be part of this all important discussion. I know
My pleasure.
in the UK here, time is of essence, and it's not really easy to get someone like you joining us because of the private duty and all that. So how has the year 2025 been for you? Your reflection on that briefly.
Oh, so far so good. I think by the grace of the Almighty, we have life, except for a cold snap that has gripped us in the UK, as you know. We can't quite complain. As children of the sun, however, we found ourselves in the cold, temperate weather. We can't complain too much. But otherwise, keeping body and soul together, and we are hale and hearty, as the Almighty wills it.
All right, that's great. I don't know where you are. You are in the south, right? South of London?
Yes, I'm in Buckingham, a little village or town between Milton Keynes and Oxford. That's where I'm based, down in the south, the southeast.
Okay, then you should be experiencing some snow. I don't have any snow here. It's just freezing. About 3 degrees, but it feels like 0 degrees.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Lucky
All
you.
right. So 2024, your party, the NDC, came into office. Before we even move to that,
yes.
You say you are the chairman of the NDC UK Ireland chapter. Walk us through the structure. How's the structure like? Is it like in Ghana? What does that mean? Are you the equivalent of Asedin Ketia in the UK Ireland branch of the NDC?
I think I'm too small, as they would say.
No, I'm looking at the position. Yeah, the position wise.
Yes, yes. I will just ingest to be the Asedin Ketia. But generally, the party, the smallest, as we used to define atoms in secondary school, the smallest indivisible unit.
Yeah.
But let me go to that terminology. The equivalent of that is a branch level. In Ghana, branches are equivalent to the EC's polling stations. Okay. Over here in the UK, we have branches, and that's the base unit at which membership is organized. So each person is a member of a particular branch, and nobody is a member of a constituency or national or region. Your membership comes from your branch. So we have branches in the UK. On average, we have a branch per city. So Sheffield has a branch, Leeds has a branch, Luton has a branch, Milton Keynes has a branch, Cambridge has a branch. Where the city is quite large, like London, sometimes we section it up. So London has got 4 branches, consistent with the cardinal points: South London, North London, East London, West London. All these branches are then aggregated to the next level, not Gold Board aggregator, but they are put together to the next level to give us what we call a chapter, which is the equivalent of constituency in Ghana. So the chapter level then looks after all the branches, but at the branch You have 9 executives at the branch that look at the local affairs of the branch, register members, and so on and so forth. And then the umbrella unit after the branch is the chapter. So the UK and Ireland chapter covers the 4 nations in the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. So the 4 nations in the United Kingdom are England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. These are the nations within the United Kingdom. And then you have the Republic of Ireland, capital with Dublin. They are also included in our part. So basically, we look after 2 countries, but if you like, 5 nations, because there are 4 nations within the United Kingdom. So that is the structure that we run now. And I happen to be the chairperson at the chapter, at the UK chapter level. And so if you are looking at it from a national perspective, I can understand why you equivalated it to General Mosquito, Asiedin Ketia, the Honorable. But that's how our structure is set out.
Right. Tell us, what's the numerical strength of the NDC in your chapter?
So at present, we boast a number of between 1,500 to 2,000 members in that manner. We've embarked on a massive membership drive and opening of branches since October 2023, when I was privileged with the task of 7. We doubled the number of branches we had from 13 to 26 now, and we still have a number more in the pipeline that we are working on to get inaugurated. What it means, of course, is that more branches means more members. And of course, there are members that have also joined the existing branches. We really saw a massive influx of members during 2024, when many Ghanaians thought that they should, if you like, put their hands on the NDC's oars to sail that boat to victory. And so we got a large influx of members, and that is what has taken our numbers almost to doubling in that sense.
Oh, I see. So what was the reason they were rushing to the NDC? They found a future.
I think
what was it?
The main reason, as you would see, is some prefer to say, oh, the NDC became attractive. But I think that people resonated with the message of the NDC and did not want to be left behind. Everyone wanted to be part of that historic victory, or that historic second independence, as was proverbially called. So there were many, I know some friends of mine who previously were on the fence. But after having conversations with them, you make it clear to them that, listen, you need to come down off the fence and pick a side, take a stand and make a mark, as they proverbially say. And so we were able to convince people. The hardship in Ghana definitely drove members towards us. Ghanaians who previously did not do politics realized that, as is the Greeks famously say, and I believe it was either Plato or Socrates, I don't know who, but he did say that the price the wise pay for refusing to engage in politics is that they get to be ruled by fools. And so many wise men came off that fence and joined us in the trenches, contributed their quota in kind, in cash, in effort, and got their families, friends to work with us towards the historic victory that we secured.
Right. Well, the bigger question I'm asking is that, what is your impact? Even with the numbers that you said, people, there was a mass exodus of people, whether they were into politics or where they were from the sitting government then, or the NPP as a party in the UK, moving to your side. What impact do you think you had in the 2024 election?
So our impact historically and in 2024 is in a number of fronts. One of them is mobilizing resources, both human and financial resources, to support our mother party in Ghana. And by God, we raised a substantive amount to support our party for victory.
How much?
Well, we tend to keep those numbers confidential.
No, this is public accountability. And
we raised, yes.
Everyone has an interest in politics. Like you said, if you sit on the fence and think that, oh, this one, I don't care whether they do it this way or that way, I'm comfortable, then you allow a certain class of people to rule you, and you fold your arms and start complaining that, oh, things are not going well. So in order to enhance accountability too, we need to know the contributions that some of you have made, because it's a public entity and every Ghanaian will definitely have an interest. That's why I'm just asking. I'm just curious to know.
No, it's a valid question to ask. And as an auditor, I recognize the need for accountability. And in fact, we treat probity and accountability. That said, accountability as well and providing accounts is usually done at the right forum, right? And so as a company, if I were a limited liability company, I'll be rendering accounts, audited accounts to my shareholders rather than putting it out on radio or public media. That being said, I can confirm that we raised tens of thousands of pounds, which we took home, to support. But that was not the most crucial role we played. The most crucial role we played was our presence in Ghana, campaigning and sending the message out. I had the privilege of leading hundreds of us to go to Ghana in May 2024 to register and make sure we could check and make sure our names were on the register. Between the months of October, November, December, a large contingent of members from the UK, and not just UK alone, from France, from the Netherlands, from the US, trooped to Ghana, and we campaigned across the length and breadth of the country. For example, I had the privilege of being in the campaign of a number of my members and executives. We toured the Upper East region, the Upper West region, the Northern region, the Western region, the Ashanti region, virtually every single one of the 16 regions. We went door to door. We embedded ourselves in the campaigns of our flag bearer and running mate, national chairman, and many of our executives. We also were allocated various roles where we campaigned. And on election day, for example, those of us in the UK, some people from France, some of our members from France chapter, from Netherlands chapter, we were allocated to specific constituencies in the Ashanti region. The UK, for example, we were in Manchester South, in the heart of Kumasi, and we played polling agent roles. We played various key roles to make sure that the vote that Ghanaians will cast for us is counted and we are not shortchanged. And so the support that we bring to our party home, it's in all fronts. It's in the human resource front. It's in going down and knocking the doors and winning the hearts and minds of Ghanaians. And it's not just throw money or speak on radio from afar. We also go on the ground and we work to make sure that we galvanize the votes, secure it, and make sure that the victory that was delivered to us was secure.
Right. All this hustle that you did, all the effort that you put in, do you think it was worth it? Looking at the performance of John Mahama in the first year, and even before then, let me just ask you a simple question as to whether what was the understanding of the NDC generally about the electoral votes that you had? It was overwhelming, right? Do you think that you had a message? Do you think that the people were fed up with the system? Do you think that it was just a natural cause? We believe that every 4 years, 8 years, we should change the government. That's why, by luck, John Mahama was given the opportunity. The reason I'm asking this is because the 2024 general election, the outcome has rewritten our political history. One, first time a sitting president who lost an election woefully in 2016 came back, lost. Then for the third attempt, right, he won. And he also came in to make history with a female as the first vice president of the Republic of Ghana. And the third one, which is the most shocking of all, is what we call the super majority that you are enjoying. You are having a total legislative control. Because what I do know from the records from Parliament is that 4 independent parliamentary candidates say they want to do business with government. So you have super control, both at the cabinet and legislative level in Parliament. What does that signal you? What do you think was the reason Ghanaians gave you that mandate?
I think that the victory was outstanding. It was emphatic, but crucially, it was humbling. And humbling is, for me, is the key word I will underline, because it once again confirms what Sergeant Nkrumah said, Kwame Nkrumah, that don't play with Ghanaians, because when they get upset, they will show you something. Now, that victory was emphatic, much more than many of us expected. We campaigned and we knew we were winning. I knew that President Mahama was going to win by no less than 55 to 56%. That for me was clear in my mind. And especially in the last month when we were hitting grounds, even opposition strongholds, places like Takoradi, when we were hitting those grounds. Even in the last days in Kumasi, we as a chapter spent about a week plus around the Bosunchi area, that whole constituency adjoining that area. It was very clear that you didn't need the oracles to speak for us to know that we were going to win. It was now a case of, can we protect that ballot? But I must say, I didn't expect the magnitude of the parliamentary seats we took. To take 2/3 was beyond my expectation. I knew we were going to have a handsome or beautiful, whichever word you prefer, majority to help us do business. But it's historic, as you have said. And I think that for me and for many people in the party, what it means to us is that we should never find ourselves on the wrong side of such an emphatic victory. If we walk the walk that the MPP walked and talk the talk that the MPP talked, we are inevitably going down that route. We did something positive which endeared Ghanaians to us. We rolled out, we put outdoor policies and promises. We promised economic salvation. We promised single-digit inflation. We promised to bring down the cost of living. We promised to create jobs through the 24-hour economy, a phenomenon that is very widespread in the West, but for which some of us, even in Ghana, having traveled, pretend that we are not aware of. There were so many, and of course, we promised to cut corruption, to curb corruption, and to enforce probity and accountability. And so, if you look at the topical issues, for example, the one day, one scandal phenomena at some point made Ghanaians warm up to the principle of what? Making sure that there's utmost accountability and transparency. Operation Recover or Loot, so-called ORA, made Ghanaians realize that the only way to exact accountability was to bring the NDC in. The quest to reduce the cost of living. At some point, the cost of living was so high. Fuel prices were jumping around like a yo-yo. You go and ask for the price of a bag of cement. You go home, after buying 2, you come, send them to go back and buy. An hour later, the price is gone up. All kinds of nuisance taxes, e-levy, COVID levy. And we were seeing our taxes being flaunted in our face on dubious contracts and unnecessary stuff. All of that led to Ghanaians to say, we once were ruled by President Mahama. We didn't see this chaos. He is capable of taking us back there. And I'm glad that what we are seeing now is effectively what? Bearing out what we promised. But I think the totality of all this.
I'm not sure that is entirely accurate, because in the time that he became president, we had, I don't know, by then you were in Ghana or not, but I must say, I was in Kumasi by then, around 2014, 2015, thereabouts. The doomsday was really massive. And by then, I was with Capital Radio. And what I do know was that we were running on diesel. And in a day, we were spending not less than 15,000 Ghana cedis on diesel. That was under Mahama's regime, the doomsday regime, where he was.
I agree.
The name as, So giving the
I agree 100%. But this is the trick. President Mahama solved doomsday before he left. I'm making that
reference to ask the follow-up question as to you saying that Ghanaians claim that he has been president before, and for that matter, let's bring him back to put the economy on track. Is that an actuality on the ground? Because we witnessed West government under his first tenure.
So yes, arguably, yes, you can. Let's go the doomsday line.
Take over, yeah.
Doomsday as, look, let me be clear here. When I was in SS2 in 1998 in Notre Dame, my seniors used lanterns to read for Waik and Root. And so doomsday goes as far back as I gained consciousness.
No, was it doomsday that was making them to do that? It was the case that if you say
lights were always out, and those who went to bear me out.
Is it the Navrongo Notre Dame?
Yes, from 1998.
Was there light?
Oh, there was light, but because of over-reliance on Akosombo and because of us not generating enough power to meet demand, and with more electrification projects going on, it got to a point where demand outstripped supply. And so you had intermittent power outages in the late 90s. You had power outages under President Kufuor. You had power outages under President Mills, which got particularly worse under President Mahama. President Mahama owned it and said, listen, I will fix it. And he engaged in the fastest ever mobilization of electricity generating assets in the history of our country. And he solved doing so before he left. Right now, there were other things that also went wrong, right? He said he learned his lessons. Take the economy. We exited the economy with about 3.4% growth. When our opponents came in, 4 years exactly, in 2016, economic growth was around 3.4%. By the time they had their fourth year in 2020, it slumped to about 0.8. And you can do a lot of comparisons between John Mohammed's first term and Nana Addo's 8 years or 4 years. And you'd see that on average, things were much better, especially in the last 2 years of the Nana Addo administration. It was clear to Ghanaians that, listen, we've tried President Mahama, we have tried the NPP, and I think Sankofa was the name of the game. So that's nostalgia of the days when, take the price of fuel, for example. The price of a liter of fuel under President Akufo-Addo at some point was higher than the price of a gallon of fuel under President Mahama. So did we go or did we come? But that said, I believe that Ghanaians believed not just in the fact that he has been there before, he's done it before, he's learned the lessons of what he didn't do right, but also in the lure of the promises, the promise to cut the cost of living, which was excruciating, right? We inherited Dumso in January. We literally got 5 days of power, right? Power generating oil. We mobilized and nobody talks about Dumso now. We solved it because President Mahama solved it in his first term. So he has followed that route, follow who no route. And that's an example. The NDC and the record show recorded this longest uninterrupted period of single-digit inflation for 33 consecutive months in the period of President Atta Mills and President Mahama. You can see that we have come. We learned how to do it. We are already in single-digit inflation. As we speak now, it's 5.4. We took it at 23.7, 23.8 to be specific. It's down to 5.4.
And so it's reporting 6 point something. I don't know.
Well, the recent one, 6.4 was about a month and a half ago, around October. But even let's stick to the 6.4. That's a 17% drop from 23.7 to 6.8. But the point I'm making here is that President Mahama is not an angel. His first term had its fair share of troubles and he learned from it. And when he said, give me the second term, I've learned where I went wrong, I will make sure I don't go there. Where I did it right, I will do right. Where he did right in solving Dumso, it took him a month and a bit and Dumso was history. As we speak now, nobody's talking of Dumso. Where he had economic challenges, right? As we speak, inflation is down. Record interest rates have come down from 28% to 15%, the Ghana reference rate. We have, what do you call it? The CD, 41% appreciation in the course of the year. One of the best performing currencies. And what did he do? We moved, now we're at 10.7 as of today. And it's a whole number of policies put together that have led to this performance. And I think this performance exonerates Ghanaians' trust in President Mahama to bring down the cost of living. A year ago, if you're looking for a bag of maize to buy in Bolga or up north, it was about 700 cedis in 2024, thereabouts. We know because we buy guinea fowls, we buy maize for our families and our in-laws in Ghana, right? On festive occasions or even on a daily basis. By December 2025, 350 cedis could get you a bag of maize. And today I did see maize prices in the course of the year came down by a record 19.1%. Millet prices, the premium grain that we enjoy up north, came down by 20%. Fuel prices, now fuel prices is around 11.99, oil coated. If you go to Star Oil 2 days ago, they brought it down to what? 11 cedis, 50 pesos. When we were taking over, it was nowhere near that. So you can see the difference. So the point I'm making is that I'm not saying President Mahama is an angel. His first term, mistakes were made. We learned the lessons. He's come back with vim and people can see it in action. And it's no wonder that the people of Ghana are assessing President Mahama rightly. If you look at how they have spoken, I know we'll go into more of that, but the point I was trying to make is we knew we had learned from our lessons and we put forward an ambitious policy to solve the problems of Ghana, cost of living, Dumso, and all those ones. And we are on course. So far, so good.
You're on course so far, so good. Now, you've already dealt with the economic stability, the CD performance and all that. Do you think Ghanaians are smiling on the street or Ghanaians are smiling on the street because of what you have said? It is evident on paper that the CD is now flexing its muscles with international trading currencies. And you are in the banking sector, you understand it better than I do. Is that reflecting in the pockets of Ghanaians? That's the basic question everyone wants to find out from you. Again, you are in the diaspora, and I'm sure the festive season you would have sent something home. I know the bloggers were not happy because the CD had a higher strength. So let's say in 2024, as of December 2024, if you're sending like £100 home, it would have been double of the amount, I mean, in cities or something like that. But now, if you are sending, let's say, even £500 as of 2024 September thereabout, would have been about 10,000 Ghana cedis. As of now, if you are sending £500 home by September 2025, that wouldn't have been up to 10,000. That'll be around 8,000 and all that. The bloggers suffering in their pocket because they have put in more money to send home in 2025 for the Christmas or whatsoever. But the actuality on the ground, is it reflecting people feeling it in their pockets that, okay, on paper, Ghana is doing well, the city is doing well. So it has affected the cost of livelihood, maybe cement, talking about basic necessities and all that. Are you clear that all that you're saying is not just semantics, but it's an actuality on the ground?
So, truth be told, well, they only say one man's meat is another man's poison. I've got 34 million Ghanaians in Ghana. Arguably, how many Ghanaians are in the diaspora? In the UK, we have over 200,000. But if I add globally, let's even assume 10% of the population in Ghana is outside the shores of Ghana as Ghanaians. Now, there's the trade-off between me as a blogger, my plight, and the plight of my family in Ghana. No one disputes the fact that the price of commodities has come down significantly. You know, there are items that have come down by more than 50%. But you stick to the main staples, millet, if you are going to do your TZ, maize, if you are going to do your akpe, your banku, your kenke, whether you are fanti or kenke, it all comes in there, right? We can see a market reduction, a very significant reduction, noticeable reduction in the price of these staples. Fuel prices, like I said, there was a point in time in 2020 where fuel prices were shooting up per liter, way above 20 cedis per liter. Now it's about 11.50 per liter. Look at the difference. Even when we took over, it was probably around 17, 18. Let's grant it 17. It's now 11.5. That's a difference of about 6, right? A difference of about 6 cedis savings. That is 6 cedis that has come off people's pocket. So if you, on average, you were spending, let's say you were wherever you were driving to, whether you're a private person or a truck driver, you were spending 10 liters of fuel a day, and each liter was at 17 cedis. Now, today, to multiply by 10, that's 170 cedis. Today, you are buying the same 10 liters, you have not changed. You are paying 11 cedis, 50 pesos, which is 115 cedis. The difference between 1750 and 1150 is about 6 cedis. So 60 cedis is being saved from your pocket. So instead of removing 170, you are now removing 11. That is the practical thing that has happened in Ghana. And we know how that translates into transport prices, into farm inputs and other manufacturing inputs, because most industries will use fuel in one form or the other. Of course, the strengthening of the cedi, as you've said, has had a strong role, and we can talk about the feed-through mechanisms. I will start with the role of Gold Board and how that has, if you like, enabled the Bank of Ghana under the Gold for Reserves program to be able to marshal enough reserves. Now, why do we need reserves? Gross international reserve, net international reserve, I won't go into the specifics. But as a country, if you think about it, you are country 1, I am country 2. If you want to trade with me, or I want to buy something from you, you need to be sure that I can pay. If you realize that I don't have dollars to pay you, you are most likely not going to trade with me. That's why governments need to have reserves, and those reserves is what you can then pass on to your citizens looking to import, so that they are able to import whatever, whether it's chicken, whether it's pig feet, whether it is maize, whatever it is they are importing to sustain the economy, whatever we do not produce locally. For a long time, we have had problems with our cedi because if you do not have enough dollars in the system, when someone goes to import drugs and you have to go and borrow, as we used to do, to give the person, bear in mind there's a cost of borrowing, right? And that even assails your cedi more. And so a shortage of dollars, basic demand and supply. When there's enough supply of something, if there's more supply in the system than is demanded, the price will stay low. If conversely there's less supply of dollars and higher demand, you want that dollar, I want it. There's only $1 in the market. It's available for 1 cedi. I'll tell them I want it badly, so I will say 160, 150. Then you say, no, you pay 2 cedis. I'll say I'll pay 250. Before I realize that 1 cedi worth dollar is now 3 because we are competing for it. But if there are $2 in there, you want $1, I want $1, it matches. None of us is going to pay more than we need. And that is the essence of the reserve. And the gold reserve program, supported or operationalized by our the gold board, what it meant to it sought to do was that we knew that sometimes we were exporting as much as $6 billion worth of gold, and that will be reported in Dubai or by Swiss aid that Ghana has exported $6 billion worth of gold to Dubai. But then Ghana's book showed that we only exported 1 billion. Where's the other 5 billion? It stayed in somebody's pockets out there. And that is why under this gold for reserves program, underpinned by Gold Board, we brought the sole right to export gold was then vested in the state via its tool of Gold Board. Nobody else could do that. And that's why if you try smuggling gold or trading it now, you'll be arrested. What it meant is that we were able to get the gold out and we made sure that the dollars came back in, they didn't stay there. Because if I can export my own gold, I'll tell the seller, put the money into my account in London or put the money into my account in Switzerland. So the dollars will never come back to Ghana. And meanwhile, Ghana needs dollars. The current regime, and that's the beautiful thing is, if I want to buy dollars, I want to buy gold from you and you are in Ghana. After we sign our sale and purchase agreement, I need to put the dollars into an escrow account in Bank of Ghana before Bank of Ghana will give permission for the gold to send out to me. So it meant dollars were coming to the system. That has allowed us to mobilize enough dollars to intermediate in the Forex system. Intermediate meaning that if Mr. Sami needs $1 billion or $1 million to import bicycles from China, Bank of Ghana will make that dollars available to you. It doesn't flag the system.
Making
right?
sure that they don't go to the black market, in which will
exactly. Yes.
That's fine.
Because why would you go to black market to buy it higher if the governor of the Bank of Ghana is able to give it to you? And what that does is with the security, the assurance that there is enough dollars in the system, people are not overpricing or trying to buy it at a higher price. That's what we've done. And in fact, we have outdone ourselves for the first time. We mobilized the small scale gold, artisanal and small scale miners, they are good. Can you believe that in 2025, we exported more from those small scale guys than from the gold fields, the big boys, the Newmonts? It's never happened before. And all of that revenue.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I want to be clear here. That
Yes.
just validates the assertions that you have just said that
Yes.
what you have mobilized from the small scale miners is even
Yes.
more than what the big companies are doing.
Yes, marginally, but a small margin, but historic.
Marginally.
Yes.
So does this validate the assertions of people who think that, yes, Galamsey, the gold board set by the NDC government is rather energizing Galamsey with the marginal increment that it has gotten in terms of export and the control of gold, like you have just said.
Yes.
I just want to get clarity on that.
Yes. Okay, so let me divert and talk that. I will grant anybody who feels that there is a high risk that Galamsey Gold is making its way into our gold trade program. And I'll tell you why. Whilst the gold board and the way it has licensed people, right? And this is where we need to be clear. It has licensed people, you have aggregators. And by the way, we have 51 aggregators, not a sole aggregator. We have self-financing aggregators, and there's only one aggregator that is not self-financed, but we have 51. If you go on Gold Board website, go to their repository, click on licenses, you will see the full list. If you click on the self-financing, all of them have the ability to aggregate. Yes, there's one who is government's official aggregator. Government will give them money to go and buy for that. But if government has to trade in it, somebody has to buy. But there are 50 others. And in fact, that The company that we are Bawa Rock we are talking about is both. It sits on both sides, right? So there are 50 others. So it is not there. It is a myth that there's only one company in Ghana that is an aggregator. There are 51, and you can check it whilst we are talking now. Go on the website, follow through what I've said, click on repository, click on licenses, and voila, you see the full list of 51. So I just wanted to put that out. But the point I was going to make is those aggregators will get their good from various license buyers at different levels. Those license buyers are also licensed by Gold Board, and one of the terms for them is you should not be buying Galamsey gold. And so if they violate those terms and they
so
are
the
caught,
question is, how are you able to track it?
Fantastic.
No
Good
gold,
question.
no gold
This
is
is
going to
why-
be labeled. No gold is going
Yes.
to be labeled. This is Galamsey from Ayenswano, or this Galamsey from Wa.
Yes. Now, this is how for now, we don't have, and look, not many countries in the world have this, but we are developing it. We don't have a watertight tracking system. And that's what one of the key projects that Gold Board is currently going through is to develop a very robust gold tracking system so that we can, it's not just even to stop Galamsey, but also to, as a way of selling to the world, to say to us, you can buy gold from Ghana because we can give you certification. It's almost like the environmental audit report, ESGs, where a company operating can say, I'm buying cocoa from this place where there's no child labor. That is what we are trying to do, but it will take time. But in the meantime, the process for enforcing that is this. If you are given a license to buy gold, you are licensed by Gold Board, and you are making good money from it, and Gold Board tells you, don't go and buy me Galamsey gold, and you go and buy Galamsey gold and they catch you, your license will be taken away from you. I know not everybody will comply, and that's why I can say I can understand anybody who argues that. But in time, we have rolled a policy, and now we are putting in the various controls, because without a process, you won't have a control. So you need to have the process out first, and then we have the control, because we need to build it before we put traffic lights. If I come to you come to my village and there's no road, and you come and put traffic light in the bush, whose traffic are you controlling? So we need to build that road, get it working, and then put the controls in to ensure that we ultimately get to a stage where we can say hand on heart, 100%, we don't do Galamsey gold. But now the controls are in progress. So yes, there is a risk that is there. But back to the point I was trying to make. You see, by reorienting Gold Board, remember, this is not the first time others have tried gold for oil, and even this gold for reserves, they tried it and it didn't work. And there's a reason we'll come to. But we have reoriented the whole chain such that every single dollar for every single ounce of gold sold out of Ghana comes back to Ghana, meaning we now have enough dollars. And so even though we have been able to intermediate in the market by to the tune of about $10.3 billion, guess what? We inherited reserves, gross international reserves from the NPP to the tune of $8.9 billion. As we speak, for December, it has gone up to 13.8 billion. It was around, 11, a couple of months ago. So we have finished the year from 9.8 to about 13.8. We have added an extra 4 billion to our reserves, even though we have used those reserves to intermediate in the market to make sure there's adequate dollars in the system to support our trade. And so if you look at it from that angle, that has meant the cedi has appreciated. Now, by the cedi appreciating alone, what are the benefits? We import our oil in dollars. So let me give an example. Sami, let's say you are the only citizen in Ghana, one-man state, and you only use 1 liter of oil the whole year. And a price of a liter of oil is priced in dollars. So in January, the dollar was at 17. And so you have to spend 17 cedis to buy that 1 liter that will run you for the year. Now the dollar is at 10.9. Let me say it's even 11. Now you are spending just what? 11 instead of 17. You have saved yourself 6. This is the impact that the strengthening of the currency has had. And now that you have had this feed through in savings from a strong currency, because we are an import-led economy. And when you are an import-led economy, a stronger currency helps you. Because if you are an import-led economy and your currency is weak, you are going to suffer a huge amount of import-led inflation. And that's why you see in our inflation basket that has come down, the inflation that has come down from 23 down to about 6. Import inflation has reduced the most compared to domestic inflation. If you see so you see the impact of this Gold Board, the impact of this gold for reserves done very well has had a feed-through effect. It's affected fuel price coming down. It's now and that has had an impact on food prices and everything. Inflation is down.
So
Interest rates.
Let me ask you this question that is
Yes.
going through the minds of Ghanaians right now. I've
Yes.
read it on social media. I've interacted with people and they share the same sentiments.
Yes.
You believe that within 1 year in office, you've been able to talk this, what do you call it, success or achievement based on the strategies that you were bringing on board to manage the economy, because you felt the economy was broken and Ghanaians needed a rescue. So if you had all these strategies and you claimed you loved Ghanaians, as a political party that wants the best for especially the social class, why didn't you recommend it to the previous administration to make things better? Or you actually contributed or wanted the economy to break down, then you come and fix it with your solutions. You know, say, yo, the NDC have done well, let's clap hands for them. Why didn't you proffer some of these suggestions to the previous administration to make the country better, but rather rode on those failures to campaign, come to power to implement them?
So the simple answer to your question, my good brother, is this.
Yeah.
Yentiobia syndrome. And this is not unique to my brothers in the MPP. Time without fail, governments have often been hesitant to listen to ideas from the opposition, because then you will be parodied to the effect that you have no ideas, you are just implementing the ideas of the opposition. We have seen instances where in the past, and I don't remember a specific example, NDC has made proposals which MPP have found a way of what? Absorbing, especially manifesto copy, and we will parody them. But let me cite this example. President Mahama said, listen, we have problems with free SHS. You don't have enough facilities. And because of that, you are running a red, gold, green traffic light system. Meanwhile, because of free SHS, a number of students have moved from private schools into the public school, which is good. But now you have a lot of capacity unutilized in private schools. And President Mahama advised the then government, why don't you consider allowing private schools to what? Subscribe to free SHS and get a subvention, similar to national health insurance. At the moment now, if you are Dr. Mias Hospital in Bolga, you can treat people and claim your money back from what? National health insurance. So it's not just Bolga General Hospital or Tamatili Teaching Hospital or Takoradi Hospital or Ridge Hospital that goes to NHIS. The private St. Joseph's Hospital or a Catholic hospital or Presbyterian hospital, private, they can also treat patients and collect the money. That was the model President Mahama suggested. What did the MPP say? They will not do it. So they refused to do it.
So they were not listening.
The NDC has come and we have done it. And so it is not the case that we were hiding all our ideas. In fact, when we started rolling out our manifesto, the government could have implemented them, but they were parodying them. When we said we'll get single-digit inflation, they said, oh, these people crash economy, they do nothing. They took us to IMF. When we said we will bring down the cost of borrowing, they said, how are you going to do it? You have no idea. So they put all the ideas we put forward.
So another question before we move on.
Yes.
You know very well that if you're going to build a house,
yes,
you just don't start the construction. There must be a base. There must be a foundation.
Yes.
You must build walls. How did you achieve all these feats, the feats that you are touting without a foundation? If the previous government was really that terrible,
yes,
how was it possible that you come in, you're able to build a house within one year? What was the magic? What worked out? Convince us. Explain to us why you think that everything that we are seeing in the country, the successes, are attributable to your strategies, and nothing at all should be attributed to the previous administration, but just the negatives.
So look, at the moment, we will prefer to attribute what we have done in our tenure to ourselves and leave others to try to also take credit. I've heard my brothers trying to take credit for the rise of the city. Meanwhile, we know how the city was dancing Palugu under them. The city is no longer dancing Pokne. The city is no longer dancing Palugu. The city is now marching forward with confidence. But the point you've made is valid. Now, what is responsible? The primary ingredient responsible for our economic success, and I showed the feed through, and I want to come back to it. The strengthening of the city has given succor to the economy in the sense of reducing the key drivers, the key components that drive our economy, the prices of those. Import-led, what do you call it? Inflation has all but disappear or come to a minimum. All of that was possible under our previous under the previous administration, but it is because they refused to listen. And I'll tell you why. What have we done? It is not just we've been talking about the monetary side of things. So the stabilization and strengthening of the cedi is in the hands of the Bank of Ghana, because the economy is split to the fiscal side and the monetary side. The monetary side covers interest rates, inflation targeting, the currency, and stuff like that, and stability of banking services. The fiscal side has to do with taxing and spending, which sits with the Minister of Finance. These two policy tools, they must work in tandem. There must be coordination. It is like a tug of war. You pull and I pull. If I pull and you don't pull, I'll fall. That's what is going to happen. So if we are doing tug of war, like Elwa games, and the Dagabes pull and the Frafres don't pull, the Dagabes will fall, and vice versa. That is the relationship between fiscal policy and monetary policy. In the previous administration, you would have heard, what's his name, Governor Addison, at some point complain. Because what was happening is that every good thing that the governor of the Bank of Ghana was doing, at some point in 2022, he pumped in as much as almost $80 billion cedis, leading to that historic loss of about 60-point-something billion cedis loss in 2022. But what was happening is that the other side that was to come to the table and help make sure that fiscal policy is coordinated and works with monetary policy for the economy to grow, they were doing the reverse. Because when you are mopping up excess liquidity in the system, when you are trying to bring down inflation rate, you are trying to bring down interest rates, you are trying to stabilize the currency, and your government is borrowing like crazy, your currency cannot be strong when you are a borrower, because the currency talks about your credit worthiness, the strength of your country. Look, if you don't have enough money to pay me, I will not what? I will lend you the money. So excessive or reckless fiscal policy, expansionary fiscal policy, was responsible for a lot of the chaos that happened. The governor was doing his bit. That's why we incurred losses in 2022, 2023. The Minister of Finance, who should have cut spending, refused to cut spending, because I said fiscal policy is about what? Collecting taxes and what? Spending. When you need to contract, because if you earn 100 cedis in the house and you only spend 110 cedis, you will continue to be in debt. If you want to stabilize,
the key point here is this.
Yes.
Taxes, but spend with frugality, financial frugality. That should be the
exactly prudence, fiscal prudence. That's the key thing. But what you were saying is this: we were overspending and over borrowing and overtaxing. Now, what does that do? When you overspend, you have to go and borrow to make up the difference. If you have 100 cedi and you choose to spend 150 on a shoe, you have to borrow 50. And when you get to a point, you become debt stressed. And to make matters worse, we were now taxing the productive sectors of the economy. Look at Momo taxes. You bring e-levy in, it ruined Momo vendors' business. And it was a nuisance tax. We budgeted to collect 6 billion, we never collected half of that. And you bring COVID levy. You bring all kinds of levies that were taking capital that businessmen needed to invest in their businesses to create jobs. You were using taxes to take that money away from them. And in an economy, you need a vibrant private sector.
All right.
So what they did not do is what we are doing. At the moment, there is a very excellent symbiotic coordination between Governor Dr. Johnson Sama and the Minister of Finance. And that is what you realize, that the Minister of Finance, what they think, they cut taxes. So when you cut taxes, you allow people to use that savings to invest. They also cut expenditure. In 2025, we spent about 10 billion less than we budgeted to spend. The first time since 1993. Almost always, we are always overspending. So you take that side of fiscal prudence and you combine it with the policy from the governor to make sure we have enough dollars to support imports and feed through to make sure the city is strong, driving interest rates down, driving inflation down. This is an excellent mix to make sure that all the fundamentals of the economy, as Uncle Bawumia would say, are heading in the right direction. So that is the difference. And this is why we are saying they cannot be responsible because the things they needed to do, they didn't do. As we speak, 1st of January this year, we put $5.3 billion back in the cities, back in the pockets of Ghanaians. by scrapping COVID levy and by reorienting National Health Insurance levy and Get Fund levy so that they are no longer VAT deductible. And crucially, you know, the VAT threshold.
Why would you
threshold
want to?
used to be
Why would you want to?
200,000.
I'm much interested in the Get Fund levy. Why would you want to somehow remodulate? Why do you want to restructure? Is something wrong with it?
No, this is what was happening. You see, VAT is purest sense. It's a value add tax. So all it is saying is that when there is a creation of value, then the tax acts. It's not supposed to whittle away your capital. So if you are selling salt and pepper on your table, and you went and bought the salt and pepper for 100 cedis, and then I come and I'm buying the whole table because I feel irate, and I'm buying the whole 100 CD worth of it, and you have put, let's say your profit on it is 10 cedis to make it 110, you are supposed to charge 20% VAT on the 110, meaning you add 22 cedis, which is 20% of 110, and sell it to me at 132. You will keep your 110 because that is your capital plus profit. It's not touched. And you give the 22 you collected from me to government. What was happening is, and when you do that, it means it's VAT deductible. Because when you went to buy your items, if you paid VAT, then whatever VAT I come to buy from you when I buy your product, you can deduct your input VAT, the VAT you pay when you are buying your sell to me, from the VAT you collected from me, and only the difference goes to government. For some reason, after a while, we bastardized the whole tax VAT system by introducing Get Fund and National Health Insurance levy and putting them in such a way that they were not VAT deductible. So what it meant is that if you went to buy something and they charge you National Health Insurance levy, and I come and I also buy that thing from you, and you charge me National Health Insurance levy, you cannot deduct what you paid from what I have given. You have to give what I paid to government and also give what you paid to government. Right. So when you give what you paid to government, your capital comes down. What Atu has done is he's saying, when you are a trader and you go and incur National Health Insurance levy or Get Fund on a bag of cement, and you are now selling it to Conrad Dumba, you will deduct the amount you paid so that your capital is safe. And it's good for business.
In all these taxes, and what I'm so much pleased is about the threshold for small businesses, not to pay tax and all that. I think it's a big relief. We must commend the government for that.
500,000 CD relief is not a small one. From 200,000 to 700,000.
Something that is really commendable. But I like the confidence, the eloquence of you in government. First year, assessing your government and your shoulders are high. You are so happy. And we are waiting to see how the second year will fare. No one is praying. Like, no one is praying for NDC government led by Don Dramani Mahama. He's a fine gentleman. We are not praying for him to fail. We hope that you would not be complacent to say, next year we've done well. So let's relax. I've always told my friends that this is not the right time to criticize John Mahama and the NDC. You know why? Go to Facebook, especially my friends and brothers in the NPP. I always tell them to go right now and write anything negative about John Mahama. People who are not even politicians will come and attack you. Or it's the first year and seeing some level of respite whatsoever, relief. That's a burden, cement and all those things. Let's wait 2-3 years time, and we can make a holistic analysis of administration. But we are watching, hoping that things will not go astray. People will not say that because there's a chunk of the Ghanaian populace which is currently on the side of the government, it should be taken for granted. I know you're getting the point I'm coming from.
I get the point. And you know why I'm happy?
Yeah. Once you have the people on your side for the first year, it is just a warning to you that you don't disappoint them.
True.
I've always said this. Those who are in management will understand this better. When a manager is appointed to an organization for the first 4 years, be liked by everyone. People like your policies. People say, oh yeah, super. After 4 years, there's a general rule of separation that sets in. You have become complacent, or people have become fed. You are not being innovative, or is the case that you have just reneged. You have allowed everyone to work anyhow. And I hope that does not set in the second year of the NDC. we'll continue the conversation. I don't know if we'll have something to just add to that.
I
but
just
want
wanted
us
to
to
say
look at your
quickly that
corruption fight. Yeah.
personally, before you go there, personally, the reason I'm excited is because I was one of those who came down and went to the villages and told them that if you vote for him, he will do this. So when he's doing that, I don't have a choice but to celebrate with the people are convinced. If John Mahama was messing up now, I'll be holding my head in shame. And so conversely, if he's doing well, do I have a choice than to celebrate it? And in celebrating, it's like if my child goes to school and comes home with 100% in his test paper, I'll pat them on the back, I'll celebrate and reward them. Not because tomorrow they won't get 90, but because I want them to know this is the way to go. But if we start going the wrong way, Ghanaians must speak.
Now, let's look at your corruption fight. Well, I'm saying, I want us to listen to briefly the Attorney General, Dr. Akuritenga Ayene, spoke a month or so ago, talking about challenges, especially the former finance minister, in which this evening, he want to add it to a discussion because I would have been emotional. The fact that he has graced us as a country internationally, considering that ICE is detaining him. Don't know the vivid reasons yet. Some are linking it to overstay in the US because we know he has a restricted visa. If you have a visitor's visa, you're not supposed to stay more than 6 months. And he left after NDC came into office or before the NDC came into office. I'm talking about swearing in.
Yeah.
So it is an international disgrace that an ex-minister of my beloved country, Ghana, being detained by ICE. He partly represents the country because he has been in public office before. And I feel that shouldn't have allowed it to get to this point. But you would now be like, you become a fugitive, international fugitive. But if they are going to keep you in those cells, the dent is not just on you, person, but the country that you said. Why were you failing to go back to your country to face legal prosecution? If indeed you did not steal any money, why didn't you go back? Let me just draw the attention of our politicians. Those of you, the corrupt ones, those of you who think that I'm going to steal our money, send it to the Western world and invest there, thinking that that will be a safe haven for you in case you find yourself into trouble. It's a lie. I'm watching you. The money. They'll give you the opportunity. Bring them here. When you fall into trouble, this system doesn't respect anybody. The leveler.
Yep.
And you'll be surprised what will be happening to Ken Ofori-Atta if he's on quotes, or let me quote, if he's removed, that's a legal term. If he's deported, what happens to his businesses? Because he has flouted an immigration regulation. And I'm not giving any advice, or I'm not saying it on any based on whatever, but I'm just giving the analysis of what the possibilities could be based on immigration regulations. If you are removed or deported from a country, you can be banned. If you are banned, what happened to your asset? You are being declared as a criminal in that country because you overstayed your visa. You have breached the immigration regulation. And that's why I'm sad. So if you're a Ghanaian politician watching us or listening to us this evening, if you steal the money, you can decide to send it there. They'll watch you. When you come into a problem, the system will take it back. You have invested. You're not just losing, the country is losing. So this is just an eye-opener. And I hope that those in government are watching closely. That the system in the Western world does not condone corruption. I'm not saying every system is perfect. Let me give you a classical example. You remember the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom?
Angela
Rees. What happened to her? In her case, it isn't the case that she stole public money. Because you can't steal public money, even if it's £1, you account for it.
True.
She bought a property that declared, according to investigations that were done and all that. She didn't pay full on the apartment. It was reportedly registered in the child's name. That when the investigations came out, what happened? He resigned. She didn't steal money, the system.
Yep.
And then they are pushing for her to be prosecuted. This is the situation here. So, please, if you are making up your mind to steal our resources, I'm not by this saying that and is guilty. I'm only citing an example, so don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm only sounding the alarm bell that we are all involved and we must all be vigilant. If you are from the previous administration, you didn't steal any money, go back home, face prosecution. No one is persecuting you. We had people in the past who went through the system, they were not jailed. They were able to prove their case. I wonder why we are using legalese, prolong, and make certain things cumbersome. On that note, let's listen to Dr. Kuritinga, who is the Attorney General, talking about the processes involved in extraditing Ken Ofori-Atta. That's one of the big issues in terms of corruption allegations against the previous administration. And we will now look at the holistic approach by the NDC fighting corruption, tie it to that of Alamse. Then That's illegal mining. We can conclude from there. So let's listen to Dr. Akuritinga.
To know, that he has hired some of the top. Yesterday, I got to know that he has hired some of the top lawyers in the United States of America, very experienced lawyers, to, defend him. Now, I'm not afraid at all. All right, I am not.
But Osofo was finance minister under Kufuor. He never went anywhere. Setegbe was finance minister. He never went anywhere. Dr. Kufuor was finance minister. He stayed in Ghana and was prosecuted by the previous administration. He never went anywhere. So why is Uncle Ofori-Atta rushing and running out? If you know you are innocent, you have more than enough money to fight your cause. Now, of course, Reuters has reported this sad spectacle, BBC has reported it, and it makes us feel ashamed as Ghanaians that our compatriot and former finance minister is taking through this. Why? He's not an economic migrant. He has got businesses in Ghana, enterprise insurance, data bank, and other businesses in Ghana. He has got them. He has got banks in Gambia. He's got investments in Guyana, in the Caribbean and other Caribbean places. So he's not an economic migrant. What exactly is he doing? Running away from justice? What is he scared of? And so, look, I know that he may even attempt to say they should deport him to some Caribbean country or somewhere else and not Ghana. But we pray that they'll take him back to the land of his birth unless he decides to renounce his Ghanaian citizenship. Wontumi came to the UK, Croydon. He lived in the UK for a while before going back to Ghana. After the elections, when he lost, he spent some time in Croydon, but he went back home to face justice. He didn't stay. You have Hanan in Ghana. You have the National Service people there. They could also try to flee. Mustafa Hamid and go. Let them stay and face the music. If they are innocent and they dance well, they'll be absolved in court. If they are guilty, then they will have to what? Be made to what? Pay back to the state and face the consequences. This should be done diligently, and the Attorney General is doing that. I know some people complain it's taking long, but if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And the wheels of justice grind ever so slowly, but surely we must get there. This should be done so that it sets a precedent, not just for former appointees, but crucially for appointees of our own government. And that's why I get assured when President Mahama makes it clear. He doesn't look at your face. If he appoints you and you're even his brother, and you go and also get yourself engaged in it, you face the music. But I think so far, so brilliant by this government on the transparency and accountability front.
Right. Galamsey fight. Think you've done well?
I think Galamsey we have done fantastic. Now, let me start by looking at, if you look at the latest Afrobarometer, Global Info Analytics Service on the fight on Galamsey, on many other things. I think we didn't touch on it, but when it comes to cost of living, Ghanaians have all agreed that 56% of Ghanaians, that's 6 in every 10 Ghanaians, are happy that their economic situation has improved. About 47% of Ghanaians believe that the fight against Galamsey is in the right direction and the government has made significant improvements.
To be clear,
it is not just in what they believe.
Afrobarometer report. Is that what you're quoting?
No, the Global Info Analytics report, Musa Dankwa's one. That's what I was focusing on. Okay. Yes. Now, and that 47 is not a number plucked out of air. And if in fact this is just people who overtly say it is positive. Only about 12% are actively saying it's going the other way around. If my memory serves me right, I definitely can remember the 47%. What are the things the president has done, the government has done to get Ghanaians to believe? Because a year ago today, the story was reversed. Majority of Ghanaians were of the view that we have lost the Galamsey fight, and it was very clear. Anecdotally, you can see that some of our water bodies are stabilizing. I was listening to a story about the River Pra recently, and many others. I think President Mahama himself has mentioned it. But there are some crucial things that President Mahama has done. One, we set up NIMOS, a dedicated enforcement body, somebody whose permanent job is to go after them.
It's not
when you
something
pull the
new.
policeman,
It's not a novelty. You know that. In the previous administration, we have
Yes.
the interministerial task force.
fantastic.
We
This is
had
where
a
I was
joint-
going.
No, listen, we had a joint force of all security agencies
Yeah.
move into our water bodies,
Yeah.
protecting them, arresting, banning, and all that. What is NIMOS doing different?
Good.
What,
So
what
the
makes
difference
you
is
think
this.
that the establishment of NIMOS is a
Yes.
game changer? Have we seen a difference here?
Seriously, yes. Why? Because you see, those task forces, and they were, I got about 2 or 3 task forces at various points in time. They will say interministerial task force, they'll bring some policemen, bring some soldier men, bring some immigration or whatever officers, put them together, send them out there. When they go there, they chase the Galamseyers, they go and sit in their village, they disband them, they go back to Accra, and the guys go back. These people are not being disbanded. This is a permanent blue water guard, and their job is what? Continuous patrolling. So it's not like they will go back to the police barracks if they were police or military barracks. Yes, you may have those security supporting them, but this is a permanent force that is constantly going around. That's why I said 247. That is their permanent dedicated role, no other role. Their role is not to go and arrest someone for smoking weed as a policeman. No. Their role is not to go and fight Togo if Togo tries to invade us. No. Their role is to monitor our forest reserves. Their role is to monitor our water bodies and make sure that when they find the Galamseyers, you bend their equipment and create as much inconvenience for the Galamseyers as possible. I think it is working. Together with that, we have designated all forest reserves and water bodies as security zones. I know that may not be the blanket state of emergency that was required.
That has always been the situation. All those places are designated as security zones, right?
It's only recently that they have been designated as such, right? And that empowers, because they're designated as security zones, if NIMOS finds you there, what are you doing? So you can be taken care of. And crucially, the LI that was passed in 2020.
What's the difference between the protected areas? The previous administration even marked them, some of them red, and some it has some markings, some codes that they had for it.
Yeah.
And now it's a security zone, and this is not what Ghanaians wanted.
This is the difference, my brother.
Opposition, hold on. You told us in opposition that we give you opportunity, come and lead the country.
Yes.
Akufo-Addo government was killing Ghanaians with the pollution of the water bodies. So if you come, and then you are even calling for a sort of emergency, there are video clips of John Mahama making those calls.
Correct.
What has happened? Why are you not doing it now? Why are you not declaring a state of emergency now? But you are giving different names, different, rebranding some of the operational units to say you are fighting it. Is that what you promised us? You told us categorically that there's the need for state of emergency because where the situation had reached, it was beyond repair.
Now, you see, when a patient is in a critical situation, you take them to ICU. If the patient comes in and you can stabilize them quickly, you can explore other options before you consider that last breath. I use this analogy to explain this. At the time we called for state of emergency, the whole situation was, excuse me to use the word, a basket case. When President Mahama came in, one of the first things we did is this. I've just talked about NIMOS and patrolling. This time around, we were building the equipment, not bringing it to Accra or sharing it to party boys.
But the previous government also
we were prosecuting.
The interministerial task force also banned excavators. This is not a novelty. Yeah, just repeat.
No, but you see,
we're doing.
And how come that we had several hundred excavators which flew away and nobody knew where they went? Because you see, how come Professor Frimpong Martin's own report was not acted upon?
About missing excavators and all that. I think an audit was made.
Yes. So the point I'm trying to make is the approach that President Mahama has taken is this. It's what you call a graduated escalatory approach. You have NIMOS, you have the security zones, and now we have actually criminalized. We have abolished the LI 2462, which was passed by the previous government to permit mining in those forest reserves. And this is the difference. You see, previously, you are right, forest reserve had a protected status. Yeah. But what did the previous government do? They passed an LI, a legislative instrument, 2462, which allowed people to effectively violate that protected status of the forest reserve.
I'm not
We
sure
have
that was,
reviewed
that was the main reason for the establishment of that LI. Maybe you are interpreting it to mean that way, but I'm not entirely sure.
No, but
that,
that's what it did. The main reason
law was
was to
designed for
allow,
deliberate
because what
yeah.
it said is that the president could allow people to go into hitherto protected forest reserves and mine there. That was one of the root causes of our problem. Now that has been fully
there might have been
revoked.
a caveat. I've not read it. I would go
Yes.
to possibly have to do that. There might have been a caveat as to why that provision is there. It's under a particular circumstance that people can
Good.
go into those protected zones mine. It was
Good.
not a blanket
Prior to that,
statement.
yes, I agree. The question is, prior to that, what circumstance necessitated us de-recognizing the protected status of some forest reserves if we deem them eligible for people to go in and mine, when there are so many other places they could do proper mining? And so that in itself escalated. Look, Galamsey, as we call Alakwikri, we were in JSS when they were doing Alakwikri in Tongo areas, and it's still that. But the kind of destructive one that was happening, particularly in the forest reserve, is the one that was emboldened by this LI. The things President Mahama has done is to scrap that incentive by removing that LI. Two, to introduce the protection, double protection of those forest reserves and water bodies by designating as security zones. If you are found in a security zone, you have no business there. So Makola Market is not a security zone. So if you find me there at midnight, you can't be questioning me. But if you find me at midnight in a forest reserve with an what do you call it, excavator, then I need to what? Answer questions. And then you have NIMOS that is supposed to enforce these ones. And I think that is an approach that President Mahama is taking. President Mahama has not ruled out a state of emergency if all these other options work. He is going on what you call an escalatory path. You try this. If it doesn't work, you add that. It doesn't work, you add that until you get to what you call your last canoe. If you get to your last situation where all of these don't work,
you're in opposition,
then the state of emergency comes in.
You didn't know that there were layers before you can get to declaring a state of emergency. You wanted the then president Akufo-Addo, to just jump on the microphone, like how he was addressing Ghanaians during COVID, and say, "Fellow Ghanaians, henceforth, I'm declaring a state of emergency on Galamsey." How are you expecting the president to do it?
That is because he never did any, look, he refused to revoke the LI. So that was completely out of the picture. He refused to prosecute his own party boys, even dismissed and hounded his own minister, who brought a report, which if acted on, would have tamed Galamsey. Can you ever abolish Galamsey? I don't know, but at least would have tamed it. So there are certain things that he should have done, which would not have necessitated a state of emergency, which he refused to do, thereby leading to a situation where party apparatchiks, the big men, party Hiensika gang, were the ones engaging in this. He lost complete control. And when you lose complete control of an area, you declare a state of emergency to be able to reclaim it. If President Akufo-Addo was proscribing his own party boys, putting them under investigation on allegations, and dealing with Galamsey, even by setting up a proper NIMOS, abolishing the LI, or even designating forest reserves and water bodies as security zones, I do not believe President Mahama would have asked him go to that escalation point. It is because he refused to do all the others and completely lost control. But when this government came in, we signaled our intention that if you are found there, God help you. We went in with full force, not just with military and police, but we set up a proper permanent body to constantly have a presence in those areas. And we supported their work by then designating the places as security zones to give them further powers, and at the same time abolishing that thing that allowed specific people to be permitted by the president to go to a forest reserve. Now, under no circumstance can you go in. And so when you see that the person is actually taking steps to resolve it, you allow them to try all this. And if these are still not working, and Ghanaians say, listen, your NIMOS is not working, your LI scrapping is not working, your security zone thing is not working, you have lost control of it, then yes, we'll press the state of emergency.
Has the color of the water bodies changed from, what was the popular word? Was it Choco Milo or something? Or coffee to
yes,
a colorless
coffee?
As chemistry tells us, or teaches us
now,
that water has no color. It's the major rivers that we have, like the river Ankobra, the rivers that were heavily polluted by chemicals. I
Yeah.
overheard the EPA boss some time ago talking about dechemicalization and others that the
Yeah.
government intends to do, and then there was a whole controversy about it and all that. You know what the problem is? So why would we have to allow it to linger? Then we will spend more money rather dechemicalizing all these areas. I know, I consider, and I know many Ghanaians think like the way I'm thinking that. I'm saying it's a national security threat. It's not. If you're in Accra, you may not feel it, okay? You may think that it doesn't concern me, but the fish that you eat, the vegetables that you eat can be contaminated. That should be our worry.
Yes.
But you don't know where the source of these are coming from.
I agree with you, my brother. The point I will make is this.
Yeah.
You see, the EPA boss did not talk about decolorization. He talked about dechemicalization. In my mind, you see, the word we were talking about, President Mahama recently said it. It went from coffee color to light Milo, meaning there's an improvement. There's been documented evidence and videos. I was talking about the River Pra recently around the Shama area, I'm told. I could clearly see in the video the water had cleared up. Now, the problem with Galamsey is this.
We have to also consider the season pictures or the videos were taken. If the pictures were taken or videos were taken during the rainy season, definitely one can say that maybe the rainwater has been able to, should I say, neutralize or maybe contributed to the clearness of the water. But even in the not in the rain season, you continuously have water stagnated. So you not see.
It's a good point, my brother.
To other tributaries and all that.
It's a good point, but let me say something here. I happen to have the privilege of joining the president's campaign in Shama. And where in Shama, Emilia constituency, from where the main park by the castle there, a few meters walk, I could see where the river flows into the sea, and you could look to the right and see the color of the sea, and you see brown fluid coming down by way of the river. And when I saw the same water body in the video recently, it was around December. That was actually 28th November thereabouts, right? And the timing of this video is in December. So it's almost like a year on year. But the point I was trying to make is with the EPA case, listen, the water may clear, but the heavy chemicals like mercury will still be in there. So when she talked about dechemicalization, it was not to say decolorization. So even when you have stopped and the water has cleared, if you don't dechemicalize that water, those heavy metals will seep into the earth, into the water basins, and they will pollute the earth. And so they were thinking about having stopped these people. With time, as you said, with rains and other factors, the water will clear. But that water is still toxic because heavy chemicals are in there. And therein lies the value of what she was talking about, dechemicalization. Because you have to decolorize and dechemicalize. It's like the water they treat for us. The water comes from VIA. It goes through the water part, Ghana Water Company. If they add alum and all those chemicals in there and they dechemicalize it and make it wholesome to drink, but the color is still chocolate, you won't touch it. So it has to be dechemicalized and decolorized.
Right. Well done. So that's all the indicators you've just indicated to us as Ghanaian, explained to us that you are doing fantastic. You are doing a fabulous job. So for that matter, you clap for you. What are your expectations? What is the NDC in the diaspora assuring Ghanaians, the government back home, that things will be better? Our families would not be calling us to say, oh, times are hard, so we need support. So that we can also have a peace of mind here.
Yeah.
Do very well there in safe hands. And if we are also coming home, proudly coming home to enjoy our country, because no one enjoys living outside the shores of it. I'm not sure you and I, our system was like, here, we want to travel anywhere. I wouldn't leave the comfort of my own country, come to a different country with sleepless nights and all that. We all want the country to be better. So what is the NDC in the diaspora, let's say, assuring Ghanaians that we would make sure that what we promised you, the votes you gave us, would not go in vain?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Before I answer the question, give me 5 minutes and let me quickly debunk a few points.
We're ending at 10 o'clock. I just want you to wrap up on that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So my brother earlier on talked about Gold Board. There's just a few things I wanted to say. First and foremost, Gold Board has not made any loss. Look, if you go on Gold Board website, and the other thing he talked about is that Gold Board has not been reporting quarterly. If you go on Gold Board website, you will find a report for first quarter from April when they came into operation till June, and another one from July all the way to September. They're all there. So that report has always been there. I'm not sure where he looked. He says that Sami Jammeh said Gold Board was not set up for profit. That's not what he said. What he said is that the Bank of Ghana's Gold for Reserve program was not set up for his profit. But Gold Board as an entity was set up to make what? Surpluses or profits. And indeed, they have made a surplus. Now, the total income they have obtained so far, I am told, is somewhere about 960 million. Some people quote a net income, i.e. after deducting expenses, of between 600 to 700 million. So I thought that I should put that very clear. I have earlier talked about the aggregator. The loss, if you go and read paragraph 36 of the IMF report, the so-called loss that is there is attributed to the Bank of Ghana's Gold for what? Reserves program. It is not Gold Board that runs that program. Gold Board only operates under that program to support the Bank of Ghana. And how does it do it? It is acting as an intermediary this year, and that's what Samu was trying to say, that for 2025, Gold Board was the intermediary for Bank of Ghana. In other words, if you wanted to trade, and I explained earlier, if you wanted to buy gold from Ghana, you didn't go and buy it from Bank of Ghana. You will have to buy it. The aggregator will be linked up, and Gold Board is the agent that will supervise it. Without Gold Board's approval, you can't send gold out. So I thought we should make it clear. Now, even if we grant that $214 million is the cost or the loss that has been occasioned by Bank of Ghana, what is the gain? For example, forget all the economic indices I talked about. One simple gain, by appreciation of the cedi, our debt came down by 150 billion cedis. If you convert that in today's exchange rate of 10.7, that's about $13.99 billion. So if I keep things simple and I say, okay, Bank of Ghana, put your hands up. Nayara, I made a loss of 240 million. But in return, I saved government of Ghana. By using that loss as a cost, we have saved government of Ghana $13.99 billion. If you incur a cost of 240 million and make a gain of $13.9 billion, who in their right senses will complain? But that was the little I thought I would put out there. We can always go into that in a bit more detail. I rate my government, the government of Ghana and the President Mahama 9/10. Primarily, the reason I won't give 10/10 is because there's room for improvement and we can do better in some areas like the Galamsey and even arguably transparency. But when it comes to the economic performance, it is way, 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 way beyond my expectation. In fact, if I could give, I will break the rules of arithmetic and say you will get 20/10. But when it comes to the economy, sterling, but all-rounded view, I will give it a 9/10. And I know that the assurances President Mahama has given when he was welcoming his presidential staffers, he encouraged them to do more of the same of what was done in 2025 and more. And so I have the assurance as diaspora that President Mahama, being a man of his word in 2025, will do more of the same in 2026 and even better. So we are fully, solidly behind the president. We know he's not infallible, he's human, but we are assured that 2026 will be a better year for Ghana.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for your time. It's really
thank you, my brother, and thank you to all the cherished listeners.
Right. We'll continue to have further conversations about the building of our country is concerned. We cannot leave it to, let's say, those who are back home alone. We are all involved. You shouldn't say because you're outside the borders of the country. I mean, what happens at home doesn't, it's not of essence to you because eventually we'll all go back home someday. All right. So it's been a great time for you joining us on the platform. I'm grateful that you've dedicated time. We've exceeded our time today because my brother was enjoying the conversation that I didn't even check the time. That it's about 10 o'clock. But the NEC guys, if you give them the opportunity, they'll talk the whole day. They'll tell you what they have done 1 year. So you have to.
Don't worry, I'll send you a dog head in the post. A big bouncy juicy head.
I beg, I don't want the animal commission or the society to come after me here. Right. So thank you. Let's connect again. Hopefully on that will be on what do you call it, on Friday, next week Friday. We'll be having a conversation. I know that people will report on by the end of this month. So we'll do some analysis on that briefly, and I'm sure you would also share your thoughts. Those are sent your views and comments. I really appreciate it. So this isn't right with me, Samuel Mbura, and I've always said that the platform is created to connect minds, great minds, in helping build our country grow. The main idea is not to criticize, but to give recognition and also criticize when it is needed. We just want the right thing to be done. The platform is for political accountability, finance accountability, the betterment of the country that we are all building together, regardless of borders. We are all involved. We must be concerned what is happening back home, because it affects us in any way. Always said that I'm a proud Ghanaian looking outside the shores of the country. Look, if you have never traveled out of Ghana, you don't know how the world really cherishes Ghana. My first time in Canada, about 2 years ago, I mentioned that I was a Ghanaian. The treatment that was given to me was not the same as counterpart from a different country that was traveling with me. Besides my credentials that they looked at, what I was doing and my passport, there was no question. But this, fellow African had to go through screening because of international credibility of his country. Look, let us protect the country, regardless of political affiliation. We all have our political interest. That one is not hidden. But internationally, let's see how we can protect this country, our motherland, and do it with passion, because I am proud. I don't walk on the streets of Europe or any part of the Western world here hiding my identity. I am Ghanaian, and I'm proud of it. And there's a good name for Ghanaians out here. That's why we must all get involved. We have seen other countries receiving sanctions upon sanctions, but yours is exempted. Why is it so? It's about the fact that we have kept a good record. If you come to the UK here, we have the human capital from Ghana that are cherished in various organizations. And that shows you that we are a people of resources, not just the natural resources, but we have the human resources as well. Intelligence taps across. We have representatives at the Bank of England. If you go there, if you go to some of the sensitive positions abroad, have them. So why don't we connect minds, send them back home, and make the country better, so that we would at least reduce the migration to other countries to seek for greener pastures, which sometimes in tears for people who want to do that. So be proud that you are Ghanaian, and let's be proud that we are Ghanaians. It's been a great time. Let's enjoy our weekend. My name, once again, is Samuel Mbura. I hope to see you on Friday between 7 to 9 p.m. for another exciting edition of
This isn't a conventional current affairs show. On this show, we say it as it is. We go beyond the noise to dig into the root causes. We ask the tough questions and engage